Let me read to you a passage from the 8th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 28 to 34. It's the Gospel for Wednesday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, "When Jesus arrived at the other side, in the region of the Gedarenes, 2 demon-possessed men, coming from the tombs, met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. 'What do you want with us, Son of God?' they shouted. 'Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?' Some distance from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. The demons begged Jesus, 'If you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs.' He said to them, 'Go.' So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into the town, and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region." That's from Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 to 34. It suggests thoughts about the venture of faith. What do I mean? Well, just by way of introduction, there is a slight divergence among the Gospels, the account of this event. Matthew chapter 8, verse 28 is our passage today, but it's also reported with variations in Mark chapter 5 and Luke chapter 8. There are variations as to the name of the location of this dramatic exorcism by Christ, and this reflects variations in the Greek manuscripts. St. Matthew has it that in the country of the Gergesenes it occurred if the Nestle Greek text is used. St. Mark has it in the country of the Gerasenes, as does Luke again, if the Nestle text is used. Various translators give Gedarenes as the English translation of the location, as in Matthew chapter 8, verse 28. That's the case with the translation provided by the New International Version and the New American Bible. They appear to be using the Greek New Testament text, which has Gadarenes as the Greek. Well, anyway, for the Catholic it is somewhat resolved by the decision of the Church as expressed in her New Latin Vulgate text, as promulgated a couple of decades ago by Pope John Paul II. Well then, in respect to our text today in Matthew, the New Vulgate has, in the country of the Gadarenes, clearly relying on the Greek New Testament version. It's called the New Testament Greek. That's the version of the Greek. So our event today, the exorcism by Christ of the 2 demon-possessed people, occurred in the country of the Gadarenes. Of course, well, it's not necessary to traverse the textual issues as I have the last few minutes, but there's no harm in doing so occasionally, as it helps us to recall the materials that we're dealing with. There are also divergencies in some details as to what happened. In Matthew, it is 2 demon-possessed men who are exorcised by our Lord, while in Mark and Luke it is 1. In all 3, the demons are allowed to enter the swine, which then charge into the water and drown. In all 3 Gospels, the inhabitants ask our Lord to leave. These differences are instances of numerous slight variations among the manuscripts. Well then, let us enter into the scene as St. Matthew presents it in our Gospel today, and let us notice one ominous detail that I will mention later. Our Lord has landed in the country of the Gadarenes, and if any blessing ever came to that district, it was this arrival. It was pagan territory, and here on the shore was the Son of God made man. The demons knew that a terrible event was afoot for them, but it was to be a spectacular liberation for the one or the 2 whom the demons held in bondage. Let us contemplate the scene. It seems that on stepping on the shore, our Lord was forthwith met by the two men coming from the tombs, frightening for their ferocity. It probably caused the apostles to freeze in fright and to stand near our Lord for protection, as it were. He stood there, calm in his imperturbable strength. It is said that generally if a dog barks, it's because the dog is frightened. Well, the dogs that were the demons were barking ferociously because they knew that the one before them was Master. They had come straight out of their sombre abode among the tombs to shout at the holy power that was before them. Their shouts involved an arrogant yet frightened pleading. "Why meddle here, you Jesus, Son of God? This has been our turf. You have come to annoy and torment us, and before the time?" They assumed a blustering front, an unreal refusal to be humble, yet withal a helplessness before the defeat which they saw was very imminent. In this man they saw an invincible host, a strength that meant their days in the area were completely numbered. Who knows how long the demons had occupied this region, of which the present possession was but a dramatic manifestation. We know what then happened. The demons, terrified at being sent into the abyss, pleaded at least to be sent into the swine. For Jews, into filthy swine. With perhaps a touch of pity, our Lord allowed it, and into the swine they went, and into the sea they hurtled. The two men stood there, the two that had been possessed by the demons, liberated now and calm, with a new life ahead of them. Oh, the power of Jesus Christ, power that manifested mercy. This is what had arrived on the shore of the country of the Gedarenes. A boon beyond belief, good news beyond telling. But what was the sequence? The inhabitants came out, full of concern at what had happened. Strangely, they would have nothing of it nor of him. They did not want to go beyond what was familiar to them, beyond their comfort zone, as we would now say. They refused to make any venture for something much better, the venture of faith in the one who had so signally shown that such a venture would bring blessings beyond compare. So they insisted that he leave. This is the danger in every life. We can so easily prefer what we are familiar with, which is to say, the rut we are presently living in. Every day we are invited by our Lord to step forth and to follow him, wherever this might lead us. We do this in the daily duties, fulfilled with love for the one whose will they make present. On another occasion, in the storm, our Lord summoned Peter to come forth from the boat and approach him across the water. He began, but his faith failed, and he sank. Let us resolve to have faith, to take the venture that those inhabitants of the Gadarenes did not take, to take our stand by the side of Jesus Christ. Let us not be like the Gadarenes in any way at all, no matter how minor the detail.